Hello, I'm here on the topic of commuting sucks, and I've got a good example of that. I work up in Whistler, British Columbia, and I live in the smaller city of Squamish, British Columbia, right between Vancouver and Whistler. And I've been doing the commute back and forth from Squamish to Whistler for about 20 years. And I tell you, that commute's grueling. And, well, the reason why people live in Squamish and work in Whistler is it's affordable to buy a place in Squamish, and in Whistler, and employment in Squamish, you can't the wages are terrible, so that's why everybody works in Whistler, up in the hotels primarily. So yeah, I've been doing that commute for 20 years, and it's been grueling. Whether I used to drive it in the summer and take the bus in the winter. And, well, these days I can't even drive it in the summer anymore. I'll fall asleep behind the wheel coming back. It's just too long of a day. Well, and so, over the years I've been using the Greyhound as an alternative to driving. But, the Greyhound is a limited option. It doesn't work for every shift and everything. But for the past 4 or 5 years, there's been an extra commuter bus doing the run from Squamish to Whistler, which has been great. So, like, a lot of people have been doing that. Well, the reason why the commuter bus was kind of suggested is for safety on the highway. There's an occasional fatality on that highway. Anyway, that Squamish-Whistler commuter has been running for about 5 years, and there's been financial support from both Squamish and Whistler Council for that commuter, which has been great. But now the Whistler mayor doesn't want to contribute at all to it, contribute a portion at all, and he wants to cut funds at the end of March. And but the thing is about that, it's one thing to do that, but he actually quoted on television as to saying that the commuter service between Squamish and Whistler is unnecessary, and that's something he should not have said. That's a public relations mistake. To say that it's unnecessary, he's in effect saying that the workers from Squamish are unnecessary. But if it wasn't for the Squamish workers, the resort of Whistler would not function, because it can't function solely on the transients. It's half the workers that run that ski resort are from Squamish. So the Whistler mayor should be financially supporting them somewhat. Because if it wasn't for the Squamish workers, there would be no Whistler. And the Whistler mayor and council doesn't seem to see it that way. Anyway, I'm asking you to perhaps put some pressure on the Whistler mayor and council, Mayor Melamed, to support the Squamish workers. Email businesses in Whistler, and particularly Whistler Council, and tell them that you'll boycott coming to Whistler and supporting the community if you don't support us. The Whistler mayor just does not get it, the Whistler mayor and council, that if it wasn't for the Squamish workers, there would be no Whistler. Whistler would not function. If the Squamish workers didn't go to work, there would be no Whistler. Anyway, back to the whole commuting issue. Like a lot of people, drive their own cars back and forth, and it's like the dog chasing its tail. Like you go to work to make payments on your vehicle, and then you drive it into the ground, making that long commute. I mean, the kilometers between the two towns are ridiculous. Like you add about 2,000 kilometers a month just doing that commute back and forth, and does that ever add up over a year? So in about 5 years, your car is driven into the ground just going to work. It just doesn't make sense. That's why we need an adequate public transit system between the two communities. And right now you have both Greyhound and the commuter service, but the commuter service is probably going to drop out at the end of March with no support from Mayor Melamed and the Whistler Council, because they don't seem to care. They don't get it. People just sit behind their desks and they lose touch with reality of the workers, which is really what happens. So I'm asking people that use Whistler as a recreational place to email the mayor, the Mayor Melamed, the Whistler mayor, and tell him to support the Whistler workers. He's not getting it. anyway, that's the main issue, and I think a lot of people agree with me that there, that commute adds 2 hours to our day or more, and it's like it's crazy talking about commuting. It's just ridiculous. But everybody's forced to do it. You can't. The workers can't afford to buy in Whistler because it's just a rich man's playground. People want to buy the workers want to buy homes and raise families and have a backyard and whatnot, and you can't do that in Whistler, and that's why they live in Squamish, and Whistler Council just doesn't get that. They've lost touch with reality, and I think they need a wake-up call. So if you could, they need a wake-up call from us and other people that use the resort of Whistler. They're not getting it.